Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, yesterday I read a very disturbing story about another tragedy out of Ferguson. An African American man by the name of Edward Crawford was killed. And the police are saying that the brother committed suicide. They say that he was distraught over some personal matters. They say that he was in a car with two other people and he was seated in the back. They also say that he was rummaging around in the back seat and he apparently pulled out a gun and shot himself in the head, according to the police. Now, his family doesn't believe this story. His father says that his son, Edward Crawford, was in good spirits, in a good mood because he got a new job and he was moving into a new apartment. Also, his attorney says similar things. So people in his family don't buy this story of suicide. It seems like his family would be the ones to know best about his temperament, about his mood, about any kind of depression that he was undergoing. So that's the first red flag right there. The second red flag is this. His killing is similar to the killing of two other young African American men in Ferguson who were activists and or connected with the Michael Brown investigation. And I'm going to go into detail now. See, it raises all kind of suspicions because you have situations that are similar, strikingly similar, oddly similar. You have these three African American men, young men. They're in their 20s. All of them are connected with Ferguson. Two of them are activists. One of them was an unnamed witness in the Michael Brown case. So you have this brother, Edward Crawford, an activist, somebody who was engaged in a protest against police brutality in Ferguson, a brother who was photographed throwing a flaming tear gas canister. And that picture of him has become an iconic picture of protest. And then you have this other brother, Darren Seals, a prominent Ferguson activist, a protest leader, a brother who was on the ground in the trenches fighting for justice for Michael Brown. That brother was on the front line. He was with the family at the time when the prosecution announced that they would not be bringing charges against Darren Wilson for killing Michael Brown. So here you had a prominent protest leader also killed under similar circumstances. And I'm going to go into detail about that a little bit later. Then you have Deandre Joshua, who was connected to this whole Michael Brown situation. This brother was an unnamed witness for the grand jury of the Michael Brown case. An unnamed witness. Now, these three men died in similar circumstances. All three of them were shot inside of a car. Shot and killed in a car. For instance, Deandre Joshua was shot once in the head and his body was found in the car. That car was set on fire. And then you have Darren Seals. He was shot. His body was found in the car and he was set on fire. And now you have this case of Edward Crawford. He was shot in the head and he was found in the car. And because of these striking similarities, that causes me to question everything. It causes me to question this story about suicide. And it makes me ask the basic question, why hasn't there been a thorough investigation of this, of these crimes? Who committed these crimes against these young black men who were connected to this Michael Brown situation? Why were these men targeted? And with respect to Edward Crawford, I have a hard time believing this whole suicide thing. We know that law enforcement, we know that people who are trained to take people's lives can set things up to make it look like somebody committed suicide. That is not a difficult task. We know what people can do to intimidate witnesses and all that kind of stuff. So this whole thing is questionable. This whole thing is suspect under these circumstances. And I just want to know who killed these brothers in Ferguson. Was it the police? You know, this brother, Darren Seals, talked about how he was being harassed by the police. Was it the police that killed these brothers? Was it some white supremacist group that targeted and killed these brothers? You know, we know about what happened in Minneapolis when some white supremacists attacked members of Black Lives Matter, shooting them. And one of them was recently sentenced. And I'll include a link to that story in the description box. So who killed these brothers? Why did they kill them? Those are questions that have to be answered. And we cannot, under these odd circumstances, take it as truth on his face that this brother Edward Crawford killed himself. We need answers. We demand answers. So tell me what y'all think about this. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.